raise their hand. Everybody's got ChatGPT most likely. You might have tried Claude. What are all of these AIs that are out there? And what they really are, just in case you don't know, they're built on an engine that is called a LLM. And what that LLM was done, it's kind of like an app, but what it did, it trained itself on everything that's been written on the internet, everything that was in digital format. I know that's hard to comprehend. You know, internet's been around a long time, lots of people have put junk up there, but lots of things have been changed from their format to a digital format and then have been uploaded into a server somewhere. All of the context that's ever been written has been read by these LLMs. And it didn't just store it as knowledge, it learned where the connections were, it learned how to interpret what you're asking it and what the answer is. It knows everything. That's what an LLM is. And it doesn't go search for it anywhere. It doesn't have a database. It's not going to these data centers that everybody's scared of to go find the information. It just is putting it together based on what it knows about when you say this, and you're this type of person, this is the answer that you're looking for because I know it's what you've written for the past 18, when Gutenberg did stuff, so 1700s. So think of it as the smartest person you've ever been around. They know everything, encyclopedic type knowledge. What they don't know is anything about your business. They know nothing about you. They don't know what you feel. They don't know what is good to you. They don't know your buy box. They don't know any of that. So we're going to show you how to teach it that as well. Now, there are lots of different LLMs out there. Right now we've got ChatGPT 5.5. I've seen 5.6. Everyone thinks it should have been called 6.0. It's amazing. It's not out yet. Claude, Opus 4.8. Claude's better at writing. We'll get into some of the difference here. They had one that just came out a little bit ago, a few weeks ago, called Fable 5. And it got jerked back because of, everyone can go read about that. But it was super, super powerful, really, really cool, and broke into the NSA's government computers 20 times in about 5 minutes. So that's why you're not using it today. Gemini, call it whatever you want. If you're old, you're calling it Gemini. If you're me, you're calling it Gemini. So if you're using Google Docs, Google Workspace, you're already up Google's butt, as I like to say, try this out. You'll like this thing. Same thing, I can say the same thing about Microsoft. Try Copilot. So there's that. Grok is the game changer, probably. Grok, it's not there yet as an operational tool, but it's really fun and cool to play with. Thank you, Elon. So check out Grok. It gets better all the time. And that's what also will happen here. One of these will get better tomorrow, and then in a couple more months, something else will come out that makes this better, or this understanding. And I think that's the hardest part of using AI as a system or as part of your process, is because, well, I was using Fable and they took it away, so now what do I do with all of that? And that's kind of a big problem too. If you're interested in how to change between, that's something I can tell you in the Q&A. So kind of important is the timing we're in right now. And this almost seems like I made these up. So that's okay. But I didn't. AI didn't. We checked them. 98% of small business owners are using AI daily in some form, fashion. Sabrina, that's probably marketing. Most is the low-hanging fruit there. And so that's the easiest place to use it. 91% of those credit some type of growth in their business from that. Could be they've trimmed their payroll. They've moved people to better positions. They're getting more work done quicker. Time. Things that businesses need. And then the crazy thing is that third number there, $20 a month. All of those things have been built that enterprise level businesses, big, huge corporations, Paycom, put thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars in to have access to these types of enterprise level tools. And we all have about 2 or 3 of those LLMs on our phone probably right now. So if you're not using it in your business, you're missing something, because all of your competitors are. Every single one. And every deal you do, somebody else went into it using AI. So we want everyone to get on the same playing field. If you're using ChatGPT, you probably have seen imaging is great with that. It does really good coding, numbers. It doesn't always give me the output that I always want. It kind of sometimes thinks for itself. It says, this is how you need it. And it looks like it's always done it. Sometimes it gets a little generic. And that's a lesson here. When it's too generic for you, that means you didn't tell it enough. So we'll get some more into that. Claude is great at writing. So long documents, trying to research that 45-minute contract, or you want to compare 2 contracts together, that's something that Claude is great to. Upload, tell me which of these is a better deal and why. And it'll argue it and go through it and give you some really good feedback. And like I said before, Gemini does cool stuff. It's got videos, it's got some good image generation, but it's really going to matter about how you use it in your processes with your Google Docs and your Google Sheets. Now, I'm going a little fast. I hope I'm not talking too fast for everybody, but this is kind of the general knowledge part, to get you guys to where you guys can ask some more questions and learn a couple things here. What AI can do and what it can't do. And that's kind of this, I like to call this part protect my wallet if I was an investor in real estate. Because it can draft all those offers, it can do those LOIs, it can help you summarize any type of long pitch decks you may have. It can do some deal math for you, which we're going to do that in the live demo as well. Lots of research, spreadsheets. Raise your hand if you hate Excel spreadsheets. Like, you know how to read them, but you don't want to mess with them. You don't want to try to do coding and which if then and which statement do I put in there. You don't have to worry about that at all anymore. Spreadsheets are awesome now. I see, give me a CSV, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to load that. Write and rewriting. Hey, you know what? I wrote this. I'm a great writer. Can you make this better? That's something that's very helpful. Can you make this better for somebody who's looking for their first house, who's between the ages of 25 and 35 and they have $100,000 to spend? Now you're getting real types of answers for exactly what you're looking for at the same time. Here's what it can do, protecting your wallet. It's going to give you those ARV numbers wrong. It's not for sure. It's going to make up some things, and it's just going to tell you. It's going to give you some comps and rates maybe that aren't exactly live. It found some stuff. It thinks it seems like good information, but it's not. So don't ever try to close a deal on numbers from there. Let it do the math for you. Let it do the summarization or the fast first draft for you. But then you verify every number that money rides on. Will that change at some point? Yes. What can change that are some of the more advanced things where we talk about agentics or automations, where you're having it go check that data first before it does it. But just what you're doing on your phone, if you're, and I only say that as a precaution almost, don't trust the numbers that you get unless you verify the data that's put in there. Output data from those numbers is almost always 100%. But they call those hallucinations. So never close just because of an AI call. All right, so how do we talk to this? And how do we get these answers that we're really looking for? And that's called prompting. Now, when AI first came out, $300,000 jobs for a prompt engineer. They don't exist, okay? There's no reason to have prompt engineers. You can even ask your LLM on your phone to make this prompt better so that you'll do a better job. That's kind of a way to trick it into giving you a better prompt. And when you get better prompts, then you're going to start seeing much, much better answers. The quality of your output is directly tied to the quality of your input. Once again, this is like having a new partner in your business. They are super knowledgeable. They know everything except you, your buy box, what you're doing, what makes a good deal for you as an investor. Are you tapped out? Can you take 3 more? Can you take 20 more? Do you need to load off to? It doesn't know any of that. So we want it to know as much, and it's going to be lazy if you don't tell it everything that you want. You're going to feel like you're talking to maybe a 5-year-old or the dumbest person on your team the first time you ask the question. Then you'll realize that, oh, this works for me now. I just have to be dumb to you about it. And not, people assume some things. Don't assume with this guy until you build it into a process. And it'll keep learning from you with memory as well today. Now, how do we write these prompts? Everyone's got different things to do, and this is probably if you're taking pictures, I'm also going to send you home with this entire presentation, so you'll have it to look at anytime you guys want, okay? This is the framework that I use on any LLM. There's some frameworks that work better than others. RTCF, real easy. Role, task, context, and format. Role. What are you doing? What do you want this person to act like? This LLM. I say person because I talk to it all the time. Sorry. What do you want this computer to act like? I want you to act as a buy and hold investor analyzing a rental in OKC. Very specific. You wouldn't think of telling somebody, I need you to act like this very specific thing. But if you put that in your prompt, first, that's going to start you prompting much better. Second, task. Exactly. Tell me if this hits the 1% rule and the 8% plus cash on cash. If it tells you that, go to context. Here's what you need to know to be able to do that. And this is just everything maybe you know. This is the numbers off the paper. It's $185,000. I've got $1,650 in rent, $220 in taxes, $90 in insurance. Is this a good deal? And then that's what you want it to tell you in the format. I want you to show me the math so I can look at it and show somebody else, because you might show your buddy this or your banker this. And then I want a one-line verdict. I want you to just tell me, is this something to pursue or should I just pass on it? Because what's this doing for us? Maybe saving us some decision time as well. It's leaning us towards a decision so that the human element can come in. In businesses that aren't in real estate, in full-size businesses, and lots of employees and everything, we do the same thing. We tell them, you still have to have a human-centric part to this. AI will get you there 0 to 500 miles per hour, 80% of the way. But that other 20% is where you get to be the superpower. You get to use this as the superpower to make your job, company, position better. RTCF. It works every time on any of them. And if you put in a bad prompt, hey, is this a good rental? It's over in this area. What do you think? It's going to summarize. It's going to give you a generalization. It might even, sometimes they pat you on the back if it thinks that you're, too moody today or something because of the way you've been talking about it. They'll just tell you, no target. You didn't ask for a target. Why should I give you one and assume that you need one? You obviously need something lazy. So you asked it a lazy question, it gives you a lazy answer. Or you could put in exactly what we showed it. And if you do these 4 things, whenever you're using the RTCF, be specific as possible. Tell it all the information that you can, even if you feel like it doesn't need to know that. Give it the context. This is someone died in their family. Whatever are those emotional contexts too. Give it that, because it will take that into consideration in future things you may ask it. Set the format. Give it to me. If you're a DISC person and you're a D person, you probably are all about, give me those bullet points. I don't need 10-page summary. Someone over here probably have it. So And then this is probably my favorite thing that most people don't do enough, and it's iteration. And what I mean is keep it going a little bit more, okay? It's going to give you the answer, and when it spits out the answer to show the math and then give me a verdict on that, and it says pursue it. And then I say, whoa. What if that rent was $1,800? And what if I only had 10% down? Keep going with it, because it's going to keep working that out, and you'll be able to keep telling it things that maybe you learn or that you needed to learn. Keep it going, and it'll keep getting better and better answers and give you exactly what you need. Iteration is probably the thing that most people don't do enough. They think they got an answer that's pretty good, and then they try to clean it up or present it at that point. I take it a step further, even asking antagonistic things. What do you think about this now? Is this a good, is this, if I presented this and what you know about me, that's always a good question to ask it to. Would this happen? Do I have a better chance? It'll take all those things into consideration. 90% will get better with just that one little add-on. Now, it's about the money for you guys. We got wholesalers, and we got some flippers, and we got some creative finance folks in here, right? Some buy and hold people as well. You want to be able to, how do I practically use this? And we're going to show you a few ways. This is where I think you'll get the most value out of this. Deal analysis. What we just kind of talked about was an example for a prompt, but rehab budgets. I need to go through those, cash on cash, doing the math in seconds, if this is a good deal or not for you. Finding those deals. I don't know how you guys find your deals, and this room's particularly, but summarizing those lists, spotting patterns in lead data if you're buying leads, information coming from groups, local TIF information. We put, in a couple other deals in another business, we put all the TIF information in there and all the specialty zones and everything we can in there, just so that it knows what we're talking about when that comes up, and it'll say, hey, this has this TIF and it's later for here, and it may go here, and it's adjacent to another TIF, so you should go talk to them about that. And oh, that makes sense. Good deal. Drafting skip trace scripts, market research. This is real big. Neighborhood trends, rent ranges. Actually giving a map and a picture, or taking a cut out of it and saying, I want you to go give me a value estimate of all the houses that have, rented in the past 10 months from this street to this street. Give it as much detail as you can, and it'll tell you if it can deliver, what you need to deliver that information, where it can go get that information for you if you want it to. Sometimes it'll even tell you that to kind of help you out. If other people have looked for that and it knows that that's probably what you're getting on, that's probably what it'll try to help you out with as well. Marketing, like I said, it's not bad that it's the low-hanging fruit. It's just marketing, in my opinion, and I used to own a digital marketing agency, is that it's going to be a black box inside your business. I don't need it. Once I've taught it everything, it should know what type of social media I need. It should know when to post on Tuesdays. It should know what type of people I'm looking for on the third email attempt. Sales letters, cold call scripts, any of your ghost ads, your buyer list blasts that you may send out, information directly to people that you're trying to do business with as well. Tenants, private messaging, or property management here for your screening criteria, lease clauses, notices, and maintenance replies. If you're interested in that, we also have one of my companies is called Orem Management Group, and we put together I hate to say a workaround, but it's a smart tech layer that handles through door loop some of the things that you're looking for in property management. So being able to have someone manage that for you. And rehab and contractors. You get more than one bid. You want it to look at, compare those bids. You want to do research on the 3 bid companies that turned in something to you. It'll go do that for you and help you make that decision. Even sometimes to the point where we can go in and say, who's the owner of that company? and what are they into, or what are they doing, and you can kind of make your choice based on not just Google reviews, real semantic reviews as well. These are some prompts that we also put into one of the resources that we're giving you tonight. And so you don't have to copy these down, but I wanted to go over them with you. If you're wholesaling, you could put a prompt in here that says something like, write me 5 text scripts for absentee owners in this zip code. And I want you to summarize a 500-row list into your best 25 leads. That's a great place to start if you're getting tons of leads from somebody else and you don't want to have to go through, where do you start? We just run them all, This will give you the top 25 and based on why it's the top 25. If you're into fix and flip, you could build a rehab scope and budget for a 1,400 square foot cosmetic flip. I want you to compare 2 contractor bids and then draft the listing for copy for resale. Now, there's a lot more you can tell it there, but this is the framework that you could use. Buy and hold, underwrite this rental for cash on cash and DSCR, and creative financing. I want you to help me explain subject to versus seller finance structure to somebody I'm talking to. Sometimes we don't know how to talk to the person that's across from us because they don't speak the same language or they don't understand the same concepts that we're trying to explain to them. And so this is super helpful, again, pre-meeting type things. Hey, I'm about to walk in, I'm going to talk to this guy who does this. What should I lead with today? Where do we want to start in this meeting? That's going to make, and it'll tell you little things about that person as well. It told me when I walked in here tonight, to make that you guys have been busy all day, that you got your businesses, you got your things you're doing. You don't really want to hear a lot of, hey, this is AI, and you'd rather get to how to make deals and how to make money. So hopefully we'll see if that's right here. AI for your daily workflow. Now, this is where we're talking about saving some time and getting your time back. Deals are the headline, but the administration of your business is what keeps your business going. It's the quiet win you have every day. But when do you guys do most of that? Evenings? After everything else is done, it seems like. So how can we get some of those hours back? So seller offer emails. And some of these are exaggerated for some people, but these are typical for somebody that's sitting down. Okay, I got to write this seller email. It's going to take them 15, 20 minutes. Where do they start? What do they normally say? Maybe they've got an old form, but that's just an old blank thing. It's nothing specific. In 2 minutes, it could draft it. You could have tweaked it personally exactly for what you wanted to say for this person and send it in that short period of time. And that's what we're doing. You don't gain hours all the time. You gain 7 minutes here, and then we're going to gain 8 minutes over here doing something, and we're going to gain 15 minutes over here that we didn't have to worry about it. Read a long report, 45 minutes, going through it, making sure you didn't miss anything after you're tired. You get halfway through, forgot where you were. You're kind of skimming and just making sure it seems right. How many people skim most of the stuff that they read? Be honest. I'll call bullshit if not. We do. We're skimmers. We're taught to skim. Taught for context. Neighborhood research. Give me some houses across tabs and sites. That can take minutes. Brainstorm marketing. This is my favorite. Everyone's got a good idea. This would be a good way to represent our business. This is who we need to talk to because this is how we've been doing it for 20 years. That's the other thing I hear from a lot of businesses. Well, that's great. Times have already changed. And if you're not doing something different, you better get ready to do something different, or you might not be in business. Getting 20 different angles and saying, I like these 5 posts are going to make it more about your business and going to have the effect that you want in your marketing more so than you thinking you got a great idea. I've had lots of great ideas that are not great ideas. And spreadsheets, once again, the silent winner, getting those spreadsheets all figured out for you really fast, really easy. If you can kill the blank page problem and focus on busy work becoming something that you can save time on all throughout your day in these little 5-minute, 7-minute, 4-minute increments, that compounds into at least an hour a day. And if we could all get 7 hours a week back, that's an extra day, for all of us. So, very exciting if you can do that. Now, I feel like I've done a lot of talking about just things. I know I see a lot of questions, and that's where we can get into probably more specific answers. But what I'd like to do is actually show you a little demo. And almost everybody has their phones out here. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about what I'm about to build. Instead of showing you up here, I'm just going to have you pull out your phone, and I'm going to give you a site to go to here in just a second. But I'm going to build this. Hey, Astra.
Hey, Nico. What's on your mind today?
Well, I tell you, we're going to build a deal analyzer app right now.
Ah, something right up your alley. Are we talking real estate deals again, or is this for a new kind of project? Let's make it practical.
Can you guys hear this? Sort of? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you the prompt here. Act as a real estate tool builder. I want you to build a mobile-friendly rental property analyzer for an Oklahoma City investor. I want the inputs to be purchase price, monthly rent, monthly taxes, monthly insurance, down payment percent, interest rate. I want the outputs to be monthly cash flow, cash on cash return, cap rate, and whether it passes the 1% rule with a clear pursue or pass verdict. Clean, simple design, make it. Now, I would like you to go to quidai.com/ that's QUIDAI.com/REIA. That's it. It'll take 2 minutes. It just built me the code. I've dropped the code on that website page you're on right now. Yeah, it's QUIDAI.com/REIA. Everyone getting it? Okay. You will see tonight's presentation is available for download there. There are resources there that have prompts already built for you to plug in your business, your name, your situation. Oh, he pulled it up for us. And you'll also see a link to our Orem Keystone. That's our property management thing if you're ever interested in taking a look at that. But at the bottom here it is. We put it in here. Change these prices. Give me a purchase price. Somebody got a deal they just did that they know the number is pretty good? You got one? Give me a purchase price. $70,000. Monthly rent? $15,000. Monthly taxes?
Say
$120,000. Monthly insurance? $120,000. Down payment percentage? 0. And what interest rate?
Interest rate 6.375.
All right. Analyze rental?
Good deal.
It's actually analyzing it right away, but you can see here, so this was just a quick deal. We just built this real quick on our phone. Just told it while you're in the car, talking to a buddy, having a beer. Monthly cash flow, cash on cash return, cap rate, 1% real target. Is this past the 1% rule? Is it got positive cash flow? Do I want to pursue? Well, it's actually, I told it to either pursue or pass, right? But it decided I might need to add another thing in there called review hard. So that's just an example of what you can do. This is a no-code thing. I think this is the hardest thing for me to understand and to really, maybe for you too, is I used to work at IBM 20 years ago, And that was when people were just getting started with HTML and building websites on Microsoft Front Page and crazy stuff like that. And today, I don't code any of this. This here is thousands of dollars of time and money to build 2 years ago, to be honest. I mean, you just couldn't do it like this. And we have this access. Now, I don't know if this is cool or not to you guys. I wasn't for sure what would work as a tool, but you can go play with this. It's on that page for you to try out anytime. It's probably not specific enough for your individual deals, because I would give it a lot more things about my business before I just built this all willy-nilly like that. But super powerful, I think. And to have that in your pocket at all times, it just blows me away all the time. So I'll let you ask any questions that you may have about your business, about what you're doing. If you more general about AI is kind of what we're here, so I want to make sure, I don't want anyone leaving here tonight. There's a few of us here, that if you have something that you really been bugging you about AI, please make sure if you don't ask during the Q&A, that you come up afterwards and ask me, because I don't want you to leave here without that. We entered those numbers. We got instant analysis. It works on your phone. You don't have to have a platform. You don't have to pay for this. This isn't something you have to add on. And it's built for the deals that you're trying to actually do. All right, guys. How about some Q&A?
We get a round of applause.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. Thank you.
Just earlier, and I used Gemini last night. Was it like really, truly, like just completely focused on this deal? But anyways, I was surprised at what Gemini gave me about the comp and about, this side over here. It's kind of a niche little thing where, it's got more acreage, but, it sells for more money. So it gave me like all sorts of stuff without me really even asking for all these prompts. Do you know, so I mean obviously comps change, like on a daily basis and stuff like that. But I guess what would you say as far as like comps go, how accurate the data might be, and maybe best practices to use it?
Where are you getting your comps now?
Usually Zillow is the first point.
Yeah. So we would be doing the same thing with AI. So you would be scraping the data off of there basically. And so that's the other cool things. You can actually build web scrapers. There are 1 million and 1 billion tools out today, and they're going to change. So I'm not a big use a tool that you find online, because you'll subscribe to it, you'll get it, it'll work for the 2 months, and then something will change and there's no support for it. And it's just a tool. So being able to build and code things like this yourself becomes a real superpower as well. What I would do for that is we would build something specific that looks at the Zillow, scrapes the information off of Zillow ourselves. There's probably something out there that does that. Or try it. I would tell it, hey, go look at Zillow yourself. Look for this property address. You're giving it all the details, and it will go to Zillow and try to extract as much data as it can. My question to you, did it help you make a decision one way or the other that you wouldn't have made the day before or the night before?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
It was really quick, just a late night, like real quick, and it gave me all sorts of insight and stuff, and it was like, oh, there's, a comp at 450, that was, gunite, in-ground pool, air-conditioned shop, but of course the wholesaler's like, oh yeah, it's 450 value. So it gave me a lot of very good information very quickly and easily.
Quickly, easy, fingertip information, but being able to apply it to your process. Yeah. It didn't change anything about your business, but it gave you saved time on it, hopefully, and that's where it's at. Yeah, so we would ask it to do that, and that's how you would do. You would say that in your prompt, hey, I want you to scrape Zillow for this address, pull as much information. Also, go check anywhere else you may know of to check. Just ask it. It'll go check. If it has access, there's ways to grant it. Now, we haven't talked a lot about that, and you may have heard about agents and the agentic side of AI. That's for my next talk, basically. But with those agents, we would actually tell it to, I want you to scrape this, and then here's my password to MLS, and I want you to go in and use my password to go do these things. And then you get into some processes that get built around that as well. Yes, sir.
When you come up with these scripts, is it something you can save because you want it to go look within a mile radius of this address and give me everything that's sold in the last 90 days that is comparable?
And you want to do that again and again.
Right, for every property that you're looking at.
Yep.
Do you save that prompt and then just change the address that it looks at, or?
So it comes, there's all different ways to do that. I did it old school when we first started. I took a Word document and I was like, oh, that was awesome. That was an awesome prompt. Copied it, put it in a Word document, had this doc prompt library I started creating. So I go, oh, this is the one to help my marketing, and I pull that in there and pop that prompt back in there. Since I've been doing that, all the LLMs have added a memory feature. So that's kind of the big thing, telling it what to remember specifically. And then there's another whole part of these LLMs where they actually can take some of those things and just make it a reoccurring chat for you. So we put in ChatGPT, since that's what most people are familiar with, we can even build a GPT. That's one of the things called My GPTs off to the left. And it only would do that. You put that same prompt you like into that ChatGPT prompt, and it would say, you could do this every time. Ask me what zip code I want whenever I start it. And so it would say, what zip code do you want to check today? You could do that right in ChatGPT without having anything special, without it making a code for it or anything. Or you can just pin, I save everything to projects, and then I pin those chats into the project. And some of my projects are just that one prompt. I want you to do this every time I do it. I come back to that project, I give it a new zip code, and it spits out what I wanted it for that one project. Yes, sir.
I was going to add, sometimes I will just have it dictate. I'll just talk to it, and I will say, this is what I'm after. Could you give me a good prompt to drive these results? And so I'll actually ask the AI, because it's going to know, I mean, when you do that, you get this really long prompt that I never would have thought of.
And
so that's a simple thing.
Lots of people start that with the dictation, but they don't ask it for a prompt. They just start dictating to it, and then it will come up with some answer. So you want to be very specific. I want you, remember role, task, you want to do the same thing even on those types of things. I want you to be the world's best prompt builder for AI. I want you to blah, blah, blah about this for me, and now do this way so it comes out this way. This is the knowledge you need. This is what I need it to be like every time I ask you a zip code. And then you just give it a zip code and it hammers that stuff out. And it'll give you a real detailed prompt of stuff, like you said. We build these mega prompts for our political stuff that we do that are 30 pages long to go find out all the nasty stuff about all the opponents that you have if you're running. So don't run against me. All right. Yes, sir.
You alluded in an earlier slide about property management. Do you have any practical advice about how AI can simplify or save time with property management?
Man, thank you so much. So process to save you time. We have found there's a gap between property managers or people seeking property management companies. You either are paying 10% or they don't understand the same problems, so communication problems. They take your money first, and then you have to get your money out from them. So that didn't seem to work for everybody, and people want to grow, but part of growing then becomes a growing pain at the same time. So we looked at all the apps that are out there. If you wanted to go get an app and start property managing on your phone, and we thought the best one, in our opinion, was DoorLoop after going through multiple different ones. This is for somebody with 25 to 200 properties, okay? And then what we did, we took all the broker stuff and everything that we take the money, we kept it all to the owner. And then we built our own relationships of service providers to where we have our own roofing companies, we have our own HVAC, we have our own interior people, we have our own landscape people, and whenever one of our clients needs something, meaning your tenant needs something, they're able to communicate through their phone, through a request, get it to our system that then will deliver it to you to decide if you want to act on it with your people or if you want us to do it for you. And then we handle that. You stay the broker, you stay the person that owns the property. We handle the door loop. We never touch the money. You always get your money, and it just becomes a way to kind of take your hands off property management in the usual sense. So I hope that helps. It's just setting up those processes for you to be able to, that's just what we did when we saw there was an opening here for some property management to be handled differently.
Door Loop is a software that you run or that you
No.
suggest?
No, we suggest. So Door Loop is already out there as a management for up to 500 doors. It allows people to make service requests, and then those service requests would come into you. It doesn't do any of the leasing stuff, but what we build is a website that basically acts as that funnel of information and communication. So it's built on the Door Loop because they have the access to take the money, to have the app that's labeled on the tenant's phone. But we take care of, we're going to help you and tell you how to put the Door Loop app on your phone. This is how you pay your rent now. When you have a problem, we're going to get someone out to you in 48 hours. Here's how we do it. So you can offer better services to your tenants as well. And also, if you have a problem where you need to have something handled, we're going to handle it faster probably than maybe if you just made a blank phone call to somebody. It doesn't charge us anymore for this. We get paid from the vendors that we're supplying out there, and you get all of your money, and we're a flat fee per month. So, and that way we don't ever involve Orca. That's how we work. So, yes, sir.
You talked earlier a little bit about like having Nico scrape data for comps, for instance. I got a couple questions on that. If you wanted to send it to go look at Zillow for you, you can zoom in and see all the little yellow flags, the different prices and everything. Can it go a step further and like click on those and see the pictures and help you decide like if you're looking at all
Not
those?
prompting, but yes, it can. So the agentic side of that is where you, or even through automations, which are simple, multiple agentics running without, they're just running in circle, like this gear does this all the time and this gear does this all the time. That's kind of what automations do. Agentic is saying, I control all these gears at the same time, and I decide how they're going to work and connect, and sometimes I'll pull this gear in to work with this gear for that reason. So you prompting that probably wouldn't go down to that level, but setting it up to, once you get to this page, then I want you to do this action, which is to click on each of these. Do that until there are no more clicked yellow, and it will pull that data for you.
What's good, man? Can you just go and ChatGPT and do it, or do you need an agent to be going?
You would need to set up agentic LLM. So there is agent on. You'll see that as a model that you can choose from on ChatGPT, but it takes a lot more prompting. It's more of a structured setup for doing that. But the agents will go and do things for you all the time, 24/7, nonstop.
What's this agentic thing? Is that like a different program or website or what?
It is. Well, the agentic style is using all the LLM but to go beyond one step. Not just answering an iteration. That's still just one level deep, even in iteration. But what do I do without me having to tell it to click on each of the yellow flags, then record that data? We would give it this setup. I want you to go to every flag. I want you to record all the data. When there's no more yellow flags and I have all the data for the area I selected, now I want you to give it to me in a report that says this, 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 and it would do that. You'd have to build that agent out to do that.
I was gonna say, one thing you could try is Cloud Coder, and it's on your desktop. There is an application that you can get access to. It's a little bit easier than creating an agent, but you can go in and do it like a prompt. It's almost like a chat, but it does that agentic work, and it will go in. You have to be at your computer, so it's not 24/7, but it will go and do that while you're sitting there and while it's open.
That's what we were talking about. These things save you a lot of time. The problem for some of this right now, especially if you're a business owner and you're trying to get this into a process, is you have to put some time in to learn how to get what you want. So we spend 30 hours to save 1,000 hours. That's kind of where it's at. But you're going to get 5 hours into it and be like, oh, I knew AI, you know. So it's not that way. You got to do the work, but you will get out something that's better. I've been using AI. I nerded out on it in 2020 before people really knew what it was as a LLM. In 2022, I stopped all my other businesses and started focusing on AI because I can't leave without saying this. This is the 4th industrial revolution. I can't say that enough. If we knew that Dr. Pepper was going to be so cool when somebody made Dr. Pepper in 1897, we would have been all about trying to make our own version of that, or doing something like what you're doing in here today with everybody's trying to do something in here. And the same thing came with computers, and the same thing came with the steam engine. Nobody's going to take a boat, with a steam engine on it that could blow up. They're saying the same thing about data centers right now, and I can give you some great facts, and I talk about data centers a lot. 8% of people live near a data center. It's everyone else, the other 92% that are mad about them. You need to think of this stuff as infrastructure. These are the roads. This is the highway. This is how we're going to get where we need to get. And it's not about being China. It is. It is about those things. Don't let me get you wrong. But when it really comes down to it, it's not about those types of things. It's about infrastructure. We can't get where we're going. And I want to see cancer eliminated. I want to see Star Trek society. That's what they do. They have so much time on their hands because they have replicators and, Dr. McCoy does everything. It's all easy now. And so what do? They got so much time on their hand, they just go out and search for stuff, And that's what we're getting to. But we're real close. We're real close. But this is still the infancy of the 4th Industrial Revolution. We still got 15, 20 years of this. Except this happens every 2 months instead of every 3 to 4 years of another revolution. It's crazy what it's doing right now. Yes, sir.
If you have, I guess, a program or a database in a business that you wanted to go, I guess you have to give it access to that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing why we have human-centric still stay part of the 20% of any process that we put in, working with legacy systems. Because remember, we said data in has to be good, or so you get good data out. And how good do you think all that data is in that database? If you've had a 20-year database, you've had people move, you've had things change, you have people who bought things based on what you were selling at that time, and things were really good in 2003, and they really sucked in 2008, and that changed the data again. So you have to be careful about, we like to clean data first before we bring data into AI. So that's a step that most businesses hate doing because it involves.
Pretty active. It's slot machines. You've seen them.
Okay.
So it's recording
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, so that's great. Give
So
it.
if you take a time period for the last 12 months,
Yep.
analyze, aristocrat machines and
It'll give you all.
and percentages.
Any of that data that you have, it'll read it and put it in there. And yeah, you would just give it access more agentically through that, or through an automation. I want you to go here, log in with this password, then look for these things in there. That's how you would do it. I'd like to get some of that information. That sounds like good info. All right. Anything else that sparked your interest, or how are we doing on? We're real good on time here, so. I still got some question over here. Yeah.
So, ChatGPT and been playing with AIs for a while now. I just feel like ChatGPT's gotten really sort of dumb lately.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I was doing on it, I can't do anymore. It doesn't do the same prompts, and so I've moved over to the Gemini now, and I really like that. But then still, images are still GPT. So I'm starting to rack up those $20 a month fees and getting the next Gemini and the next AI models. So are you noticing like the models are changing? Are they getting dumber? Are they getting to the point where they're just not wanting to focus on that aspect of it, or?
So here's the scary thing. Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen when they release one of these. So ChatGPT 4.3, we're on 5.5 right now. Okay, 5.6 is getting ready to come out. 4.3 came out, and it was out for 3 days, and they gave 4.4 to everybody for free without knowing. Everybody, even on the free plans, got access to the 4.4 immediately, because whatever they thought they put out there in the 4.3, it was horrible. It was horrible. The answers we were getting were stupid, almost grade school-like, in talking to an 11-year-old versus talking to a client. And so it nixed it in 2 days. So what I have found is that the things you're having problems with, there's probably a tweak around. You can even tell it, hey, last time you gave me this, now you're giving me this. Why is the difference? And I liked it like this. It'll kind of relearn itself and try to give you the output that you had before. But you got to show it that output, okay? So what you don't like about it right now, and I had that same problem. I was all into ChatGPT forever, and then these other ones started coming out, and I was like, oh man, that's another $20, but okay, $20. And then I started hitting usage limits. Wait till you start doing that. And then you're like, $100 went from 20 to 100, and now I'm on 5 of those. Yeah, it gets crazy real quick. You know, there are ones I've had 2 years ago that I've dropped now. Trying to work with it for, I would say, a month or two. One thing I do like to do to kind of help solve this, it's called an MD file, .md, markdown file. And sometimes when I'm sick and pissed off at the answers I'm getting out of ChatGPT, because I've done it 5 times and I'm getting those answers like that, I'll say, give me an MD file of everything we've talked about in this conversation. And then it'll print basically a synopsis that AI thinks of everything you've talked about in that project or that conversation that you're in. And then I copy that and I go over to Claude and I say, hey, how you doing, Claude? What's up? ChatGPT's bugging again. Here's the MD file. We're going to start with you here. So it feels like it knows everything that we've talked about, so you're not losing some of that data. That's the best way I found to kind of go back and forth between something and not feel like I've invested everything in ChatGPT. How do I dare move my projects over to Claude's advisors or something? And I'll tell you, something's going to come out that's going to be better than all of these in another year. It's probably going to be Grok, just so you know. Yeah, probably going to be Grok. You heard it here first. All right.
What does MD mean?
Markdown file. It's just it looks just like a PDF. It's just a way for a computer LLM to talk to another LLM in plain English. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you say Grok is going to be coming up. Is that going to be for business stuff and images, or
everything?
They're going in a certain direction?
Yeah, the reason I say that is their compute power is going to outweigh all the compute power that these other places have. And so what that ultimately will do is, where they're charging $20, we're not there yet, but when they're charging $20, Grok should be able to charge $5. And so that's kind of the smart business model, I think, that they're doing with adding all the NVIDIA compute power that they're doing right now. You combine that with XAI, you combine that with SpaceX and Tesla and all the data and the things that they have. If you didn't buy that IPO, you're missing out. So they're going to merge eventually, and all that compute power is going to be used together. So I just think I don't know how far away it is. I like Grok's video, is some of the best video work that it does. The syncing to the mouth is great. My video that I made for you guys was AI. I don't know if you could tell that or not, probably a little bit. But that's kind of the cool thing about it. He called me up and said, hey, I need a video for the show, for the show you're going to do. We need something to put on social media. So I was busy. I didn't have time to go shoot it. I could have, but so what I did, I went to Hedra, which is a company I like for their video production. It connects with 11 labs who does voiceover work together. So I've recorded 3 or 4 different versions of me, my angry voice, and then I've got the, hey, I'm real excited to be here today, and those types of voice recordings and tones made for it, and it knows all about me, and all I got to do is type in, and I can ask my AI to, hey, give me a 30-second commercial I need to pop in here. Pop it in there, spits it out. Now that was just a headshot of me, but I needed it to be in a 9x16 for him. So I said, oh, by the way, after it did it, I said, oh yeah, make this 9x16. Put me in a nice suit, put my hands in my pockets, spoke to you guys, pulled out my hand. I mean, I didn't do any of that. So that was a time saver. You got an immediate response when you needed it. It was on social media in 22 minutes. In a big business, you know, people pay salaries for that type of thing. So saving time, saving money. That's how you use AI. Give it up for Nico.